Yeah. So hey, hi everyone. Hey Jason. Hi Nakul. So like in terms, just to give you a very quick profile about myself. So I am having around 15 years of experience, specifically developing end-to-end applications in the machine learning and AI space. I have worked with companies like Microsoft and Adobe as a senior developer, and I basically guided lot many startups like Clappingo, uh, you can say Livofy, and they are spread across multiple domains. Some of them in the past have been in healthcare domain, some of them in the financial domain, some of them in the educational domain. So the strategy that the topic which I want to cover today is called patenting strategies for startup. So the interest area for me is this. Why? Because when I completed my MBA, I did a lot of research and thesis like how does and what makes sense for startups. Why? Because the startups are a little different from the enterprise, big enterprise, because they don't have enough budget, right? And they are basically trying to figure out like what should be the right approach, whether they should get it patented right now or after some time or after raising some funds. So what should be the right strategy? So I did some lot of thesis and research like how the different startups see and they work in this area. So what I figured out is like, first of all, there are a number of constraints for a startup. First of all, they are more in an exploration and evaluation phase where they are understanding whether their idea makes sense or not. So at that stage, I would say that it doesn't make any sense to in fact go for those kind of innovations or patenting strategies. At that time, it's better to understand what the need of the market, what the need of the customer, what you can offer, and try to see that how you are differentiator, how you can create differentiator as against your competitors. I think that makes more sense. But once you figure out like, okay, this is the competitive edge that you hold for your competitors. So for example, I give an example for one of the education player which I worked with. So like the idea was like this education company is one-on-one English teaching platform. Now it is not new. Like if you look at the world, there are so many players who are doing one-on-one teaching, right? And at the same time, the problem is in terms that you need to give a lot of commission to the teachers, the educators who are actually giving those sessions. So the cost of the session per session with per you can say client is huge, right? Now how you can basically create that market differentiator, because it's not a new concept, everyone is offering that. One way is that you can have an extensive marketing strategies. The other way that you can basically come up with an innovative idea like for example, I would say like basically like what we did is like developing a virtual or near, you can say near real time simulation of a teacher, so that although the teacher is not present, but the child will not get that flavor. Means for him, the teacher is still live. So it's an innovative idea, right? And it basically on one hand it dramatically reduces your operational cost, means the per session cost, but at the same time it basically give you a competitive edge against the players in the market, right? So and once you get more stabilized, as I mentioned initially, you are more in an exploration phase, so I will not highly recommend to go into this category even to think about this. But once you stabilize your product and been running for example a year around, and there is around, let's say you can say around 10,000 customers already onboarded, so you know that your product is fairly stabilized. It's now a time even to scale, and now to scale and to get a competitive edge, now that's the right time to get into the innovation, or you can say getting more thrive towards the patenting area. Yeah. So what in all I wanted to say is that you need to understand that it's a cost extensive affair, it's time extensive affair. So the ideal time is basically once your product you can say matured and you get some initial customer, I think that becomes a right time for you. Now the main idea is that don't get too much delayed as well. So let's say you've been there in a year and you already have 10,000 customers. Now you might think that okay, if I get a, let's say uh, series A funding for example, then I will go for it. But then it's too late, right? Why? Because you already basically exposed your concept to number of different people, the number of different investors, the different VCs. So you are exposing your IPR to different people, right? So that's not a right approach. What I would suggest is when you believe your product is matured, it is reaches to a certain level of maturity, I think that's the right time to get it done rather than. So in short, If you are thinking too early, it's not good. If you are thinking too late, then again it's not good, because you might lose an opportunity for getting the IPR, right? And also the another people, because your company is not too much matured, so they can easily replicate your idea and can copy the new idea into the market, right? So the idea is that it's a fair adjustment of the exact time when you can basically go and do that. That is what's very critical for a startup, right? Because you don't have too much of fun, you don't have a lethargy of having too much of time as well, right? So time and cost is critical. And obviously in a startup world, you are more into the agile culture, right? You wanted to quickly replicate and reiterate few ideas, right? So that is where the whole concept becomes paramountly important. What I have seen based upon my experience is that the people fall into different bucket. Like some never think about this area, and that is why they see like a lot of companies. If you believe, they got lost when they even they got a customer attraction, they don't get a market share. Why? Because they don't focus too much on this category, correct? So you overall basically lose the your market, you can say, dominance, in spite you are holding a very good idea, right? So that is why the people don't concentrate. Because, so I would suggest that one should definitely go for it. It's more about the time that one should need to figure out. But yeah, 100% my guidance is that I have seen startups which actually go for it. They scale more than the startups which not we do not go for it.
Bye.
Sorry.
Hi, Deep.
Hey, hi Deep. Any question, Deep?
No,
Oh
continue.
yeah, sorry. Yeah,
No worries.
no
No worries.
question at the moment. Yeah, sorry about that.
Okay,
No
okay,
worries.
okay, no problem, Deep. Okay, so I was basically saying like it's a time that is very critical, right? And if you really wanted to become a market leader or have a market dominance, then you need to go for it. Now comes, let's say now you make a decision that, okay, I wanted to go for it. Now what's the next step? So the next step is, first of all, you need to search the prior art. Maybe you believe that it's a new concept or an innovation, but maybe not. Maybe some people have already worked upon it. Maybe you have not noticed or you have not observed that idea in the market, right? So it's very important that you first search, which we called as a prior art. Just search in the market, right? So it's a patenting strategies, not parenting, Jason.
Oh my God. So we got the title wrong.
Yeah, the title in the meetup is parenting,
Yeah.
not patents. Yeah. Anyways,
It's a
okay.
huge miscommunication. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, I was more interested in parenting strategies and
Yeah, I
intrigued by
was
this.
waiting for that theme too. No worries.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Maybe update your meetup then.
Sure.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I think that is something. So once you decided, then you need to identify whether there is a prior art for that or not. Once you identify the prior art, then you basically need to write the draft and share with the attorney. So attorney can only help you to file it across, right? So then you need to attorney, and the attorney will file it across, and he will mention the number of claims. But again, the important part is like which country you want to target first. So my guidance again is that first of all, you need to get it in your home country where you are basically building your existing customer base. And once you get idea drafted and already been gone into the patent department, I think then based upon your scalability of the product, you may think of expanding to other geographies. So initially just target for one country and then try to expand slowly and slowly to other countries based upon your expansion of the product as well. Because obviously you don't need a repetitive drafting now. The draft is already done. It is more about that how you can do the geographical expansion, right? So then you take a call on those part, correct? Also it depend upon like how the startup is maturing, whether you're getting the funding, whether you're not getting a funding. If you're getting a funding, you may basically file across 3 4 more countries in a one go. If not, then probably you may take a rest and see how the thing's shaping up, right? And getting a result itself again dependent upon countries. For example, in India you may get even like 2 years even to get initial hearing of the patent approval, right? So it depends upon which country you are filing and what is the rate of success and the rate of approval and all those kind of things. So it is important on those part as well. Yeah. So now I just want to share like a couple of things which is publicly available. Nukul, can you allow me please the screen sharing?
Yeah, sure.
So you can see here, like, so what are the strategies for developing a patent portfolio, right? So one of them is identify the key market space. So obviously you are, let's say you are dealing a startup in an ed tech industry, right? So obviously it's make more sense to file a patent related to your domain. It doesn't make any sense that you are filing a domain, like you're filing everywhere, right? And secondly, within the domain itself, domain is very big category. Within that domain, what exactly the claim you wanted to file for? For example, in edtech, for example, let's say you wanted to file for the course recommendation. So it's a specific branch or specific area within that domain where you wanted to file for. That is very important to identify that domain, right? Identify the market space itself, correct? Then budget is important. As I mentioned, it's a huge cost. Like for example, you need to pay for the actual government cost, then you need to pay for the attorney cost, and obviously it's not that the patent get approved in a one go. You may need to have some litigations and something. So you need to develop a budget for that, and that is why it's important for startup. Why? Because you already have a budget constraint, right? So that is why I said the timing is important, right? Then decide which countries are critical to the business, right? As I mentioned that for each and every geography, you need to file a separate one, right? So you need to see that for which country, for example, if you're building a product which is very specific to US, it makes sense to get it done in US and Canada and the other neighboring countries or neighboring specifics, and then rather than going for Europe. But if you're developing something for Europe, then it's better to get it in Europe first, right? Correct. So that is important. Then comes identify the invention. As I mentioned that everything which we believe is important or has an innovation may not be, right? Some people has already done the prior work on it. So it's very important that we search and we find out whether there is a prior art or not for that idea. Right. Now identify the key events. So as I mentioned, it's very important that like there are two things in terms of the patent deadline. One is about when you wanted to file it. Secondly, there are different stages involved, right? So you need to complete each and every stage. So for example, first of all, you do the drafting, then the attorney will review the drafting, then he will file it. Then there can be some litigations, right? So you need to, it's not like that you file it and forget. It's not like that. You need to continuously review because there can be some more people working on a similar one, right? So you need to continuously chase the market, continuously review the market, and so that you are up to date related to that market space where you in filing the idea. Then comes the strategy. So obviously once you get the patent, it is valid for 20 years, right? So you need to have align it to the revenue generation. It's not like that just you are filing only for the sake of filing, right? So how you can basically carry its value for the next 20 years, for example? Or is it like you are just looking for getting funding? Because for them, for startups, the funding is important, right? So it depends whether you are, what is your goal? What is your ultimate goal? Is it like you are just going for funding, or is it like you really want to tie up with some kind of a revenue generation because you're holding that IP for next 20 years, right? Then it's an asset, obviously, like the way you buy a property, the way you buy a patent, right? So it's like a property, it's like an asset that you are getting for your company and for yourself, right? So in terms of the
do you believe patents are more useful when you have some breakthrough technology?
Yeah.
Or would you suggest like, just patent? Because for patenting, you don't have to have a proof of work. You just have to have a concept and a paper, right? So is that a good idea to just have a very general patent rather than
No,
unless
but
you have a
general
very
patent, Nakul, the
solid?
problem is general patent never get approved, right? And it's theoretically correct, but practically not possible, right? So idea is that first of all, you are correct. You can get an patent on an idea, correct? But your idea should be very refined and mapped to some workflow, right? So theoretically, as I mentioned, it seems very easy that, okay, you have some idea, innovation, and you just simply go and file it. It will get approved, but it will not. The reason is like, because look, what you are asking them to approve is something which is relatively new and no one has even think about it, right? And it's very rare, right? It's not something which is possible, like out of the blue you come up with something which is never ever anyone has given a thought of it, right? So in my knowledge, the idea is that you should refine that idea first, try to understand and map it to some workflow, so that it is very easy for the reviewer to grant it, so that he see the bigger picture and he understand the entire workflow, he understand the entire idea before making any decision.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so these are the basic one, right? This is what I have covered. The most of the points I've covered already. So these are some critical points when you make a decision, right? And again, I mentioned that people have a like Nakul mentioned, like it's a very valid question, that the people have an idea like, okay, I just have an idea, I can devise and I can create something new, right? It doesn't work, right? And moreover, it depends. The more the more you're inclined towards a kind of a hardware related idea as compared to software, the more chances. Means important is not the novelty, it's also about the feasibility. If the reviewers see that whatever you are claiming is something which is technically feasible even to create it, then only you will get the grant, right? So that is why the feasibility is also is equally important, and in order to show the feasibility, it's important that you map it to some workflow, correct? So then only the means it's very simple, that something you can file is something which has not been created, it's perfectly okay. But let's say I am the reviewer, so I should get a feel that even if I give you the proper technology, if I give you the proper resources, tomorrow you should be in a position to create that. It should not be like something which is not feasible, right? And you are claiming that, okay, I should get it. No, it doesn't work. It should be technically feasible. And to make that, the more use cases, the more workflows, the more detailing you can provide, the more information I can get, it makes my life easy as a reviewer to approve it, right? That is why you should do a lot of prior art searching, a lot of research before claiming something, right? It's very important that normally what the people get a perception that, oh, I just go to the attorney, ask him to file across this idea. No, it doesn't work. You need to do a lot
Yeah,
of
it's
thorough
a
research.
it's a shot in the dark, right? I guess thousands get rejected and only one of them gets selected, right?
Correct. That is true. Correct.
And,
That is
and the waiting time is too long as well, right?
Yeah,
If you
correct.
don't do a thorough search, you may not know, like, your application will be rejected after like 6 months or 1 year, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct. So that is why, because that is why, and not only the time, right? It's more about the money. It's the entire money goes wasted. You gain nothing out of it, right? So let's say you file it today and it may take a 1 year, right? You may put a on your website like patent pending, right? But at the same time, after 1 year, what? Let's say get rejected. You lost the opportunity, right? So it's a kind of a sink cost, right? You're not getting anything out of it, right? So that's the problem. So it's very important that you give a critical thought before making any decision on going on these lines. That is why I mentioned in the first place that it's important that you attain the maturity level before going on this lines or thinking about this kind of a strategy as well.
And I had a question that just in case if we are not sure that we are filing for the patent and it takes 1 year usually, and what if someone has already filed it for the similar one and we won't be able to know that what kind of patent they have filed because it's still in the pending stage, right?
Yeah, so in that case, if you recall, that is why if you go to the attorney, any attorney, they have a separate team and they have a separate charges for prior art searching, right? So
Mm-hmm.
no, none of the attorney in the world just simply file it, right? So
Yeah.
you need to first pay them the fees to search for that. They have a huge database, right? So they can easily
Yeah.
search across their database and come back to you that if there is something similar exist in the market or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was just wondering that there will be many loopholes as well, right? Even if it is hardware or software, like let's say for the folding phones right now, like there are so many different ways to make like so many folding strategies or types that we can fold a phone, right? So if it is only like slightly different, then will it make entirely new patent, or like how exactly does it work when we talk about hardware?
So slightly it doesn't work. You need to have some kind of, theoretically, again, the answer is yes, it is possible, but
Mhm.
slightly it doesn't work practically. So you need to have a considerable difference with the existing one, because what happened when that person has filed a claim, he makes sure that the circumference of that idea also get a claim. So slight difference will not make a sense. You need to make sure that in hardware the chances of success is much more than the software, because
Okay.
the concept of feasibility holds more true in hardware as compared to software. But you need to make a considerable difference with the existing ideas for sure, right? And
Okay.
again, how you make sure
Yeah.
that it's considerable difference, again, the
Yeah.
only way out is to do a prior art search, understand what the people have already done, and try to see what is your differences, right?
Okay. And like in this case, like we can see there are like, because this is like the growing technology, like the folding phone, so there are like few different ways, right? Like the one is that you can fold it inside, and there is one way that you can fold it outside, like on the outward side, like a book. And there is one way that you can like on the outside, that you can fold it on the outside, and one that you can fold it in the inside, right? So like will this is considered a considerable difference, or like how exactly does it work in this case?
No, it will, in this case it will work as a considerable difference, but again, for each and every case it's different, and I think there the maturity of the attorney becomes more important, right? Because he knows, he been dealing on a day-to-day basis on those things, right?
Mm-hmm.
So he knows much better that whether it's a considerable difference or not. If not, then obviously there can be some adjustment can be done, and some, the way we write it across, we can basically make a change so that it look like a considerable difference.
Okay, the way that the
So
attorney.
that is why the drafting becomes, now the second stage, the drafting becomes very critical and important,
Okay.
right? Even though
Yeah.
your idea is good, but if you not have a good drafting, then again it's like a weak idea.
Mhm.
Right,
Exactly.
right. Yeah, you should cover your all bases, right? Kind of uh in terms of workflow and detailing and everything, right? Yeah.
Yeah, that is correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, yeah, so that is quick from my side. Any questions specifically, if anyone is having? Yeah.
Yeah, just shared one link on the chat. It's like how you can do patent search with Google, patents.google.com. Otherwise, you can
Okay.
also use DuckDuckGo or any other search engine if you don't trust Google. Um,
Okay.
so yeah, those are the good places to search for your idea, searching for prior art, basically.
Yeah, that is correct. Yep.
Yeah, and we talked about the hardware, right? And what about software? Like, because it's very hard for filing patent for softwares, as we can add some new features like over there or with the new updates, right? So how exactly it works if you have like if we are working with the software part?
Yeah, that is correct. So yeah, so that is why I said like it's difficult for a software as compared to hardware. For that, I think you need to basically, what I would suggest in short is like, uh, you need to do more prior art searching. You need to basically do a more better drafting. But yeah, it's difficult as compared to hardware. But it's not impossible, right? There's so many software
Yeah.
companies get a patent, right? So that's not difficult, but more difficult uh, than hardware. That is correct.
And is there anything that can be made sure or things that can be done differently in a software product, such as like the way or the flow that the product is designed, or the things that are doing in the background, or anything that can be like made sure that this is like that can make it easier for yeah, to getting a patent on software products?
Yeah, so in that case, basically, I would suggest just to have a detailed workflows and the detailed architecture, right?
Okay.
So more the workflows you code, more the architecture detailing in the architecture you provide. I think that will make a difference.
Okay. Yeah, and like as this is the era of AI and ML, so I'm not sure like if you uh, like are aware of this, but what about the models that new models are built, right? For let's say for object detection or for like any knowing like the environment, such as like in self-driving, there are models used for identifying people, lane, right?
Yeah, that
So
becomes even more difficult. That becomes even more difficult. Why? Because there's a lot of research already been done there,
mhm,
right? So that becomes even more and more difficult, right? So something which is very widespread known, you need to go more deep, as simple as it can be. So for example, you wanted give a very basic example like a television. Now television has done so much, is there in the market for so long time, right? So people have done so much work on it that you, if you wanted to really file as something on a hardware side on television, it's not that easy,
mhm,
right? So
yeah,
in short, the more widespread a concept is, the more deep you need to go into to get something new.
mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks a lot, Gaurav, for this session today. We'll be posting more links on event page. Hopefully I can get few more links from Gaurav. Thanks, Deep, for joining. Thank you.
And thank
Okay.
you, Gaurav and Nakul.
Thanks.
Thanks, Deep. Thank you. Thanks, Nakul. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.